What's up, guys? Welcome back to Perspective Podcast. I'm Coach Radigan. Joining me is Perspective athlete Connor Harris. Connor, go ahead and say what's up.
What's going on, guys?
Connor, man, just continuing the conversation of supplements for athletes. That's a big one for kids. We talked a little bit about protein in the last episode. Today, our focus is pre-workout. Man, Connor, we have unlimited amount of stories that we could tell about pre-workout stories that are just awful, atrocious, not good, red flags for anybody listening. But man, let's just get started right away. Should an athlete be taking a pre-workout? That's the question. You know, you being a coach, me being a coach, kid walks up, kid listens to this podcast like, ooh, I saw Connor Harris's video. He looks jacked. Is he taking a pre-workout? So should we be letting athletes, or should we encourage athletes to even take pre-workout? Go ahead, man.
You know, when you look at supplements and the needs, I mean, we've already broken it down that supplements are just what their name is. They supplement a good diet.
For sure.
I don't think pre-workouts fall into that category, in my opinion. Pre-workout
explain that a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, pre-workout it's not needed, right? There are ones that have stuff in it that can benefit you, and we'll get into that here in a second. But all it is basically an energizer to get you ready for your workout or your maybe sport, if that's what you decide to take, which we could talk about that in a little bit. But
yeah.
I don't believe it's needed. No. Do I take one? Yes. Do I like taking it? Yes.
Yeah.
There's something about taking a pre-workout before a workout, whether it is a placebo effect or whether you do get some type of benefit, that I like doing it. And I feel, especially because I work out early in the morning, you know, I get up and that's what I do. I take a pre-workout and I get going on my workout. But
yeah.
I don't think it's needed, but I definitely think if that's something you want to take as an athlete, and there's a lot of athletes that do, you got to know what you're taking.
Yeah. I think that's big too, man. And one of the things I always try and use, we talked about it in the last episodes, and we'll reiterate it here just in case someone's tuning in for the first time, but supplements across the board, they fall second to the next basic thing that we'll talk about. They fall second to enough sleep, good diet, or good nutrition. I don't like the word diet as much, but good nutrition and hydration, right? If I take care of those things right there, I can already go into a workout amped up and seeing awesome benefit from that, right? But like you said, the supplements fall second to that. And I like how you pointed out that like pre-workout's not a necessity for kids. It's not a necessity to work out. Now, for someone like you waking up super early, man, it's awesome. Like you wake up at 4, or am I right? Wake up at 4?
Yeah, 4:30.
Yeah, to get your day. So you lift and train before the day even gets started, so that you can then be a husband, be a father, go to work, come home, spend time with your family. And that's awesome, right? So for you, you're like, yeah, I'm going to take it because it does help me. But man,
right.
One of the things I tell athletes to start off with is like, first check yourself. Like, we're going to get into what we should look for in pre-workouts, but it's like, I tell athletes, like, I always ask them the question, why do you want to take it? And that starts a whole new whirlwind of ideas, directions you can go. So man, next question is, if I am an athlete, high school athlete, college athlete, professional athlete, looking for a pre-workout, what am I looking for? What do you look for when you shop around for a pre-workout?
You know, for me, I'm not a huge high stim guy. You know, a lot of guys like high stimulants, high caffeine.
Yeah.
They look for that mixture that's basically in every pre-workout: beta-alanine, caffeine, some of those things, and they just like to get as high a number of that as possible. 400 milligrams of caffeine, 5 grams of beta-alanine where you feel like your skin's on fire. Some people like that. In my opinion, especially as an athlete, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, you don't need that type of stuff. That can do more harm than good. It's a little different maybe if your sport is lifting, like if you're a bodybuilder or something, that might be something you like because that's what you do is you're in the gym and that's what you're your game is, your performance is. As an athlete, you shouldn't take 400 milligrams of caffeine and then go work out and then go to practice. You know, number one, it's not good for you. Number two, you're going to crash. Number three, I mean, it could cause serious issues. So I'd say, what do you look for? I always go back to it, NSF certified products.
For sure.
NSF certified products in a pre-workout are only going to have a certain amount of, they got to meet a criteria. So you can't have above, I think it's 150 milligrams of caffeine per serving. So you can't have above that. You can't have, I think it's 4 grams of beta alanine. I'm just throwing these numbers out there, but I think that's generally around there. But
it's a safe, it is a safer, it's a safer realm that you're dealing with for sure, right? To put context to what you're saying, about 150 milligrams of caffeine is going to be about a cup, maybe cup and a half of black coffee, right? And so that's a good parallel.
Yeah. So you don't want to go overboard, and so that's why I like the NSF certified products, because you know it's not overboard. And then you also know the label transparency on that is you're getting exactly what it says on the label.
Yep.
A lot of these pre-workouts, as we've alluded to in stories before, are sketchy.
Yeah, man.
Even more sketchy than, you know, the protein or the amino acids, whatever it is.
For sure.
It's a different world. And so you can't trust those. You know, they're putting just random fillers, random crap in there that's not even on the label. And so you really got to be cautious of what you take. So I would just say trust NSF certified. You know, obviously I like caffeine. Don't go overboard on caffeine. Beta alanine, if you've never had it before, it's gonna feel weird. It's gonna feel a little tingle. Some people like that. And then also on that, you know, a lot of pre-workouts have creatine in them. So you got to watch that. If you're supplementing creatine after a workout with your protein and you have it in your pre-workout, you know, if you're taking 5 grams after and you're taking 2 scoops of this pre-workout, now you're getting 10 grams of creatine. That could be too much. So
for sure,
you got to be careful with that. And not all of them have it, but some do. So like the one I'm taking now has it. So I don't take any creatine after I work out anymore.
Yeah, man. I wanted to say, when athletes come to me like, hey, what pre-workout should I be taking, or can I take a pre-workout? I ask them the question of like, why do you want to take it? And then what are you looking for? And as you ask that question of like, do you like caffeine? If you have a kid who's never done caffeine, like I say done caffeine like it's a crazy drug. If you have a kid that has not taken caffeine or doesn't even mess with caffeine, throwing them into a pre-workout is not a solution. You know, it's like I've literally advised athletes, I'm like, hey dude, go drink a cup of black coffee before your workout and let me know how it goes. And that kid comes back, it's like, I am ready to go. And you just, you're like, all right, that's all you need, you know? And so I love how you just alluded to that. So when you're looking for that supplement to take, or when you're looking for a pre-workout, I love the NSF certified, just so you know it's safe for your level of performance, right? And I always just tell athletes, focus on the basics right now, because what's the majority of your pre-workouts? It's caffeine, dude. That's what it is. And dude, there's some scary stories that we're talking about, the ones we used to take, and they're up to 400 plus milligrams of caffeine. Bro, that's 4 cups of coffee before you work out. You know, some downfalls of what I've seen athletes do is you see the kids who are like, well, I'll take a pre-workout before my football game. It's like, oh my gosh, please don't ever fall in that category. Or you even have the kids who are like, I'll take it at halftime to get that extra boost, when really not that caffeine, just because studies, 15 years ago, people taking caffeine or like drinking coffee, and they're like, people are like, what are you doing? It's going to dehydrate you. You're crazy. When actually there's been studies that show that caffeine can increase certain things. I'm not saying it's like this crazy performance booster, but we're just trying to teach athletes like what to look for. I think it's hard when you can't go to the store with them and walk them through with what the label looks like. But just like you said, man, keeping it simple, finding something with a caffeine, a fair caffeine amount. And then the beta alanine, I love how you brought that up. Some kids will see that and be like, well, what's that even for? But really the part of that is like kids might take a pre-workout not knowing that they're allergic to some of the ingredients in these things, and it can really jack them up. You know, we've seen that with athletes, seen that with some of our own experiences. But so and you kind of already got to it. What are some benefits for me as an athlete training? What are some benefits for me taking that pre-workout?
I mean, I think kind of just the main one is just performance. get an energy boost so you can maximize your workouts, maximize whatever you're doing. Um, and then there's some added benefits with creatine and some of those other
Yeah.
BCAAs might be in your pre-workout. Some other things in there that will help you with recovery, building muscle, stuff like that. But the main reason and the main benefits of a pre-workout is your energy levels
For sure.
and trying to maximize, your endurance with reps. You hear a lot, this pre-workout will give you the best pump. And to some athletes that means something, obviously bodybuilders,
Yeah.
that's what you're looking for. As a football player or basketball player, you probably could care less, but
Yeah.
who knows, you might like that as well. But one thing I want to hit on that in our previous question is another thing you got to look out for is proprietary blends.
Yeah.
And so what you'll see on the back of a label is it'll say some type of blend or energy blend, and then it'll list like 5 or 6, maybe 7 or 8 different things. So it might be caffeine, a bunch of other stuff, and then it'll just say 8 grams.
Yeah.
So you don't really know how much caffeine you're getting, or you don't know how much beta alanine you're getting. It's all lumped into one category. And so, it could say on there, you're getting 300 milligrams of caffeine per serving. You might only be getting 100, or you might be getting 500, So these blends, you got to watch out for. If it does not list every ingredient and tell you exactly how much it is in, that's in there, then it's probably not. And that's why they have it on there, is because they can lie and kind of be deceptive on what's actually in there, how much is in there.
Yep. And that always goes back to the saying, read the label, man. That NSF certified, you don't have to go through you don't have to hire a detective to figure out what you're putting in your body. And so I love that,
doubt.
man. And just to recap, we talked about supplements falling second to proper sleep, proper nutrition, and hydration. And that's what that can help us with. And so when an athlete comes up and asks you the question, or asks us the question, should I take a pre-workout? It falls in line with, man, what are your goals and why do you think you need it? Point them in the right direction. And remember, when you walk in that store, you're looking for something to take, or someone's trying to sell you something, make sure you're looking for that NSF certified. You want to limit that caffeine intake, and we'll get into it next. Limit that creatine intake and maybe that beta alanine intake as well. And then from there, just making sure you're being smart with that. So anything else you want to say, Connor, on that topic?
No, the other thing I want to say, and you kind of touched on a little bit, and maybe we can get into it a little bit, but taking pre-workouts before your game, whether that's whatever sport, taking a pre-workout before you work out is different than you taking a pre-workout before an hour, 2 hour, 2.5 hour game.
Dude,
it's one thing if you go take it and then you go lift some weights, and it's 45 minutes to an hour. It's another thing if you're running around, you stop, run around, stop, halftime, and next thing you know, 2.5 hours have gone by, and you're dead. You're crashed. You're out of it. So there's other ways where you can get a boost. I would not recommend taking a pre-workout that's specifically made for lifting weights to play a football game. So there's other ways, having some type of caffeine, BCAAs, something that's going to keep you going. Carbohydrates are huge. But that's something you got to be aware as an athlete. I know I did that for a long time, and I suffered performance in the second half, or just late in the game, because I'm dragging, I'm tired, all that pre-workout's gone. Now I don't have anything in me. I'm empty. So, you got to be wary on that as well.
Kyle, last thing I want to that's absolutely right, man. I appreciate you sharing that too. The last thing I want to leave our listeners with, our viewers with, is just a total a fail story of a pre-workout. I'll kick us off, and I want you to end because your story was pretty awesome. But I remember my sophomore year of high school, I was working out with some of the varsity guys, football varsity guys, and I thought I was the king, man. I was feeling it. My buddy Tommy gave me a thing full of No Explode, right? And so I'm not trying to bash anybody, but man, I took no exploding. I felt like it was like a chemical like imbalance just happening in a cup, because when I pop the top, it's like poof, and it fizzes and you're like, oh my gosh, what am I about to drink? It's like kind of it looked like
Yeah,
steam coming out of it.
steam.
So I drink this thing, right? Not gonna lie, I think for about 30 minutes I had the workout of my life. Like I thought that I was like, I'm unstoppable. And so I remember we worked out in the morning before school. So then I had to shower and get ready for first hour class. I'm sitting in first hour class and I felt like I was watching my heart beat out of my chest, right? I look down, my arms are just soaking wet. My pit stains are going from like armpit down to love handle, right? And I remember like my stomach was like, and people in my class like to sit next to me like, what is going on with this dude? And dude, it's so embarrassing. As a sophomore in high school, I'm like, I go to the teacher like, I had to go to the bathroom, and I'm trying to like waddle to the bathroom. Dude, as a sophomore in high school, on a early morning, first hour, I sharted my pants because it messed me up that bad. And I was so embarrassed, but I was
That's
like,
hilarious.
but you know what? I still took the supplement. I was like, I got to finish
Yeah.
this. I guess.
Yeah.
So that's probably one of my absolute worst experiences with a pre-workout. And that was, man. And now what's crazy is they've gotten called out and had to get like change their formula X amount of times. It's just been crazy to see that.
I think everyone's had something similar taking Endo Explode. I think I'll touch on a beta alanine story. And I think I've told you this before, but it's the first time I took a pre-workout that had high levels of beta alanine. And I had no idea what beta alanine meant. Had no idea about transparency on labels. I figured you could walk into GNC and everything was perfectly okay and legal and whatever. So I take this pre-workout for the first time. You know, I'm on the way to the gym. I get to the gym and I go and I think I'm doing like cable rows or lat pull downs or something. And I do my first set and I remember sitting there and I felt sweat drip down my just my forehead. And so I went to wipe it off, and that spot that I wiped off just like started burning. And then my whole face tingled and burned. And then everywhere I felt like I touched like my arm and it started tingling. And I thought I was having like some allergic reaction. I would like look around the gym and people were like looking at me. I thought something was I was going to die. And so I run to the bathroom and I'm looking in the mirror. I'm like, okay, is my skin red? Am I breaking out? Like, what's going on? And I don't know if I went home and researched it or something, but somehow I found out like that's in pre-workouts. People like that. And so it freaked me out for a long time. I stopped taking that pre-workout because I had no idea what it was, but now I know. But every time I get that tingle now from beta alanine, it just brings me back to that story. So.
Yeah, when we talk about beta alanine, I think of a strength coach. You know what I'm talking about. This dude would just take it straight. I mean, he would throw like 4 or 5 scoops back, take some water, swish around, chug it, and like would just be. I'm like, I think he might die. I was scared. Like he was training us. I was like, I think this dude might die. But man, Connor, thanks for the insight on the topic of supplements, specifically pre-workout. Man, I appreciate you just sharing some experiences and just some of the wisdom that you have with training as an athlete, not only high school, college, and then for you, the dream of NFL, and then also giving back to high schoolers, man, and coaching and training in that aspect. So, dude, I appreciate your time. Make sure you follow us on YouTube, Perspective, and then make sure you also follow us on Instagram. Thanks, guys.